Here's a story that there was once a young man from a religious family, and he decided he didn't want to be religious anymore. So the rabbis talked to him, teachers, nothing helped. The only one he was willing to talk to, his parents, no way. His friends, nothing. They weren't his friends anymore. If they wanted to talk about religion, the only one he was willing to talk to was his grandfather. He would call his grandfather. I think he lived in Israel. His grandfather lived in America, whatever. He would call his grandfather, talk to his grandfather. Only person. And eventually, after a year, whatever it was, he eventually on his own started putting on tefillin, keeping Shabbos, and he came back. So his grandfather explained, you know why he listened to me? Why he was willing to talk to me and he wasn't willing to talk to anybody else? He said, I'll tell you why. His grandfather said, and when I was a young boy. We lived in Poland. This was before the war, in the 30s. I mean, the story must have been, in the 60s, whatever. So I was a young boy. I was sort of a wild kid. I didn't like to learn. I used to wander around the streets. All the kids, they learned, and the religious kids, they went to to yeshivas. They learned Torah. It wasn't for me. I ran around. I was with the goyim. And one day I read in the newspapers that there was this guy Hitler, and that he rose to power in Germany. And I started to talk to people, and I realized that this man was an anti-Semite, and that he had plans to destroy the Jews. And that's what I heard from all of my friends, from my Goyish, non-Jewish friends. So I went home and told my parents, listen, I think we got to get out of here. And our parents said, what, we're going to listen to what you say. That you don't listen to what God says. You don't keep Shabbat. You don't do anything. You want to expect us to learn. Go talk to your Gentile friends. You know what we're listening to. We're not listening. And the days went on, and the more and more more news I got from Germany, the more certain I became that this was really going to happen. That this man really had a big, everyone was praising him and how wonderful he was. But I realized what's going on over here, that this man is a real, very dangerous person, and that for him to kill people is nothing. And his public enemy number one by him is the Jews. And it was like creeping in. People didn't believe it. And even the Jews in Germany, they didn't want to believe it. Right? So I kept telling my parents, listen, you got to listen to me. You got to listen to them. Finally, they started yelling at me. And I told them, listen, I bought tickets for myself. I can get tickets for all of you also. They said, get out of here. If you want to leave, good riddance. We don't want anything to do with you. Anyway, right? You're a bad name for the family of this. And they weren't willing to listen to me at all. And I left Poland. I came to America. And they remained in Poland, and they were all wiped out. They were all killed, every one of them. Is because they didn't listen to me. So I realized how painful and terrible it is when people aren't willing to listen to you. So therefore, I listened to him. And he knows that I listen to him. He knows that I'm listening and that I really am interested in what he's saying. And I'm not giving him any messages or, giving him any sort of, corrections of what he should do. I'm just listening. Once in a while, I ask a question. Because that's the reason that I was willing to sit and listen to him, is because nobody listened to me. And because of that, eventually he came to the truth on his own, because the truth, after all, is the truth. So it comes to show us that sometimes that the best way to convince others is just by genuinely listening to them and, empathizing with their problems in life, their challenges in life. And that, in a way, is really called love, accepting another person for what the person is. Have a good day with Mashiach now, and God willing, tomorrow we'll meet again, 8:15.